Scott's playing Villanova.
That's right.
Like, there should always be a foul on your team. 4 minus 1 minus 1 minus 1 equals.
That video is actually the last time that I ever saw Rob alive. We were in California at the time and back east visiting, and even though we had spent the whole weekend together, Rob, he still came by on a Monday night, after a long day, just to see us one last time. Rob always did stuff like that. He always seemed to choose the good thing to do. Even if he was busy, he made time to do what was nice and what was good. That was him. He was just good.
Sometimes you can derive the greatest inspiration from people that you've known all along, if you actually just stop and look.
If we could keep what Rob stood for alive as people, then you know what, we're doing the guy a total justice.
I'll never forget the first year at Rob's tournament. The size of that tournament absolutely blew me away.
Rob was an awful lot like a magnet.
Yeah, he was the kind of guy that you gathered around.
People were just naturally drawn to him. They just didn't know why.
You were just drawn to him, and that laugh.
He had this brilliant smile and this huge laugh.
He just instantly made you kind of feel at ease.
Even if you can kind of tell that he was maybe a little bit like razzled, you could just say something and he would start laughing. And you'd be like, oh, okay, he must be fine. And probably deep down he was stressed like crazy, because we do some stressful work. But he had a way just to kind of knew what was most important.
I always found Rob to be helpful for me personally, and I still to this day find that calming influence is something I think about all the time. And I think back to the way Rob handled situations.
He was always pleasant, never frantic and crazy or anything, so.
He always had a smile on his face. He made it easy for us.
The generic term is, work hard, play hard kind of thing, but I don't see Rob as that way. I see him as work smart, play smart.
I've sort of used Rob as a person that I could think of when it comes to like that example of, just trying to be a little bit more calm under pressure.
He'd roll up his sleeves, he'd get into the details of the numbers, which we always appreciated.
It's always Rob's project. It's not whoever necessarily is working on it now.
I just went out to Las Vegas for a convention, and there had to be 5 different assignments that Rob had worked on with me.
We always see that, that RN down in the corner and say, oh wow, this was one of Rob's projects. And everybody sits up a little straighter and says, yep, this is going to be good.
For the people that didn't know him, they can sense that there's, really a sense of loss, and that there is utmost respect, but more importantly, you want to really, kind of keep the memory of him alive.
I would see Rob at the coffee station, I love my coffee, and he would be there too. And we always talked about how difficult it was, those little packages, and Rob being a big guy, and his hands were bigger than the packages, and you'd struggle with ripping these things apart, and half the stuff would end up on the floor or on the counter. Come walking up, and there he is, laughing, and he's looking at me, he's laughing, he's like, Rob, you're not gonna believe this. And I'm like, what? He's like, they put these little divots on here, and all you do is you take one little finger and you pull it out, and it's so easy. That's all I do now is I look for that little divot, and I always think about Rob when I do that. So.
And I remember thinking how I thought he was a lot older than he was, because he was kind of a big personality.
When he walked by and he smiled at you and he said, good morning, it was like you couldn't help it. It could be the worst morning of your life, and you're just going to break out in a smile, because that's the way he was.
The gentle giant guy in the office.
People would typically look at him and go like, oh, if they didn't know better. But, he was just this gentle giant.
Yeah, you say, wow, look at this big giant. But, like I say, a gentle giant, real good guy.
Had an enormous personality, and just was a teddy bear, really. I mean, I think that's the best way to describe him. He was just such a kind person, big guy, but such a kind person at heart.
Just him with kids is just, you know, it's like they get an opportunity to play with a big bear, you know, and they just gravitate towards him, and, you know, he could, you know, obviously throw him and do whatever with the little kids better than anyone else can.
You know, on Rob's last day, he actually spent the morning, he took Grace to the dump, which, you know, is a really great, like, dad thing to do. And then spent the afternoon golfing, you know, with our father. That's one of the reasons why, you know, at the tournament, just a small thing, but I think it's so powerful to hold his driver. You know, we set it out at one of the holes, and you know, so every year just to hold his driver, know that, you know, he was holding that, you know, he was using that in his hands, you know, on that last day. That's kind of a powerful experience, you know, for me.
If today was your last day, and tomorrow was too late, could you say goodbye to yesterday? Or would you live each moment like your last? Leave old pictures in the past, donate every dime you had. If today was your last day.
Someone made a good analogy about how we feel like, you know, like firemen, like policemen, about how your family is my family, we're all family. And so it was important to us to make sure that Grace and Natalie were really, you know, going to be taken care of, and that we were going to stay in touch with them, and Sage as well, and that we weren't going to lose them just because we lost Rob.
When Rob's friends and coworkers approached me the year after he died and said, we want to do a tournament in Rob's memory, I was not only so touched, but so excited, because it gives us, his family, his friends, a focus. And that first year was amazing. We blew everyone's expectations with turnout, with participation, with the sheer generosity of everyone who knew him.
And then some of the other ideas were the cookbook.
My favorite part of the cookbook. Sage, Rob's wife, and Barb, Rob's mom, sent me letters about Rob, about feeding Rob. And I put them in the cookbook.
We planted the tree outside.
Seeing a red maple in the fall time and seeing people ooh and ah, you know, by its presence seemed to make sense with what kind of Rob did for our office.
You know, we came up with a lot of good ideas at that, and then I think with that, everybody started to kind of heal and feel like they had something positive to move forward with.
We're always looking for an organization that can benefit from the proceeds of the tournament. We like to be able to give some form of gift or donation that is relevant to Rob and to Rob's spirit of giving to carry on his legacy.
Every person that becomes an organ and tissue donor like Rob has the potential to save and improve the lives of over 75 other people through organ and tissue donation. It's very hard to comprehend, or until your loved one passed away and became a donor, it's a hard gift to understand.
Through my involvement with Donate Life Connecticut, I've met other donor families, and I know what the gift and their loved ones' donation means to them, and how it's changed them in a positive way. Some of the volunteer activities that I do are also a result of my appreciation for just being here, having the opportunity to be around and receive the gift of life. It makes you a much more giving person than you were in the past, and it makes you a little bit more appreciative of the moment. So my heart transplant kept me around so that my kids didn't have to experience the loss of their dad like I had experienced the loss of my dad when I was young.
Having lost my dad when I was a little kid, I always found that talking about him was really helpful.
My father's golf tournament, that, you know, as my kids get older, they're gonna start to associate that with my father.
You know, someday Grace and Natalie are going to realize, wow, what a, they probably already do, so I apologize for saying it this way, but they're going to realize as adults someday, geez, there was a lot of dedication by a lot of people to continue what Dad stood for as a person, and people just don't do that for anyone.
There's so many people coming who say, we look forward to this every year, and because Rob's life was cut short, we now value our lives and our friendships and our relationships so much more. And we use this tournament as a way to make sure that we stay in touch with people.
Every year in June, my calendar is certainly booked for this event.
It's penciled in every year on our calendar, that first Monday in June. So, she works it and I go hit bad golf shots around all afternoon, but having fun the whole time.
And celebrate someone's life who really was just so amazing and such a positive person, and to be able to just take that, even if it's just that one day, to just kind of step back and think about what he meant to you and to celebrate with friends and family. I mean, it's definitely worth it.
He shared himself with a lot of people. There's a lot to share back.
We're seeing our clients and our customers join us in that celebration. Not only the people who knew Rob, but others who just want to celebrate with BL.
The thing that makes me the most happy about all of this is that it brings us all together. And we get to see, the family, and we get to enjoy this great day. But it also makes me happy that even though Rob isn't with us, he's still affecting people's lives and still making people smile.
It's how the everyday person that conducts themselves that is the greatest example of, either honor or dignity. Any of these phrases that we use to kind of coin what gives us meaning in life. You just simply look at Rob, and he was that example.
I don't think I could ever treat Rob as well as he treated me. I'm probably not alone there either, because I don't know that it's possible.